The Ballad of Johnny Arcane by Jim Nail, read by Jim Nail. Chapter 10. Division. Part 1. The cowboys left at the next full moon. Winter was giving in to the first probing thrust of spring. Afternoons, beneath the snowpack, a soft voice gurgled as pale sunlight penetrated the snow and the winter-bound stores of water, free at last, percolated down to seek their hidden courses in the earth. Up sprang the crocuses and the snowbells, first in the deep shadows of forest, like shy children, then boldly around the rim of the white meadow, laughing at the gray sky with bright colors. Only a few people saw Climber and Birdleg go. It was early morning. They took the road south around the grassy hill, Ramrod following obediently without a tether. They left little Johnny the calf with Misha and Marta, promising to return one day with some cows for his company. The next day a squall of rain blew in from the east, the wind thrashing the snow from the branches of the trees and the water pummeling it on the ground into rivulets that tumbled out of the hills and fanned across the meadow. Soon a lake of muddy slush overtook the meadow, and dirty water scoured the rooftops and gushed out of the drain pipes. The townspeople came out in high boots and rain jackets, their collars turned to the wind. They were meeting in the Long Hall to plan the annual Springfest. No proclamation needed to be issued. It was traditional to do this on the day of the first rain. There had been no more beef eating since the night the cow and the kettle was first composed. The abstainers, as they had come to call themselves, gradually came to realize that Polly May had been fully consumed and no one was intending to eat Johnny the calf. Little by little they filtered back to the Long Hall in the evenings for meals of goat and cabbage, and games of barn nails, and the dancing of skippers and stovepipes. Things returned to normal, but there was an underlying sense of tension. It rippled through remarks in conversations, in seating arrangements at supper time, and in the fact that the abstainers had signaled themselves out by giving themselves a name. The Abstainers, a club that you either belonged to or you didn't. The choice was yours. In the days before the cowboys left, Jocko took to hanging out with Climber and Birdleg most of the time. Daytimes he followed the cowboys around while they did their chores, which were few, mostly making sure Ramrod had something to eat and checking in on little Johnny the calf, who thrived under the doting care of Misha and Marta. Evenings they drank beer when Jocko plied them with questions about cowboy life. Where do cows come from? Are there wild cows? Are there special songs the cowboys sing? Are there special stories and legends about cowboys? He liked to bait Climber with odd little remarks, like the one about the crescent moon smoke salamander. Once he said, I can understand why dogs sometimes think that they're squirrels. Clymer just grunted and shook his head. The only things that he understood were things that made sense, things he could eat or things he could fasten together. He couldn't get Jocko's method of drawing meaning out of rhymes and rhythms. But Clymer was good for one thing. He knew the cowboy stories, and he could sing all the cowboy songs. He told Jocko the most famous tale about a gunfight that took place in the O&K Corral between Early Wyman and the Clancy brothers. And then there was the great Billy Buffalo, who used to fight some people he called Indians, until he learned he could put them to work in a traveling mummer show and called it the Great Wild West. And he sang all the cowboy songs he knew. The mumbling mumbleweeds, Oh My Darling Calmarine, The Old Painted Rider, Bury My Hat on the Lone Prairie. Jocko memorized the melodies and taught them to the band, and they played them in the evenings, much to the cowboys' delight. There was a deeper side to Jocko's relationship with the cowboys as well. Johnny saw it even if no one else did. He heard it in the tone of certain things Jocko said. It was an upturn in pitch, a question hiding within the question. And once, when the band met in Jocko's room to learn one of the cowboy songs, he noticed 2 new dolls on the shelf above the bed. A little Clymer and a little bird leg fashioned out of corn husks, leading a carved wooden replica of Ramrod. With the signs of spring, Johnny began to realize more things. He realized how invisible he had become in the cold winter days and nights he had spent in King Corn. He had been an observer, following the lives of the townspeople, immersed in their stories, and he had almost forgotten his own. Now, with the crocuses and the snow melt and the chorus of frogs waking in the evenings, his own purpose awoke in him. He had taken off the armband when he first arrived. The blood of his father stirred in his veins. It was time. He would find Lucy and save her from her peril. The thought of travel called him like a fragrance from the distant point where the roadsides converged. He knew which road he would take, the North Road, out of King Corn, into the mountains and across the northern border, into the unknown.